Hey guys, this is Amy and Data. Welcome again to my YouTube channel. I'm super happy to have you here. I'm starting a data cleaning series, and this is the first video in my data cleaning series. I'm cleaning the popular FIFA 21 raw data set. The first time I came in contact with this data was when I first started out, and this was the first project that I worked on. When I cleaned the data, I cleaned it with Excel functions. But today, I am going to be cleaning this data with Power Query Editor in Excel. So I have the data. I'm sure some of us might be familiar with this data. I have this data, and obviously, just by looking at it, you'll see some data quality issues. But we need to be sure. So we're going to dive in and have an overview of what the data is. And then we're also going to be looking at the data quality issues that we can identify in this data set. So when I have a data, the first thing I like to do, which is something that I actually enjoy doing, is trying to auto fit the values in their respective cells. So what do I do? Control A and Alt HOI, and I have my data set very much fitted. The next thing I need to do, because I know for a fact that this is a dirty data set that I'm working with, so what I do is I make duplicate of this data. Now this is very important. I'm sure some people can agree. So people already have experiences with having to go back to look for the source of the data because they did not make duplicates. So I am going to be duplicating this data so that it is not my story for today. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this and paste it in a new sheet here, so that in case anything goes wrong, I can always fall back to this sheet to get it. All right, so I'm going to be cleaning this. All right, I have the data now, and we need to have an overview of the data quality issues that are in this data that can affect the integrity of the data. The data cleaning is very important in data analysis, and it should not or cannot be overlooked because it is going to affect the result of your analysis. All right, so I'm going to apply a filter, which is another thing that I enjoy doing, by using Alt A-T. All right, so I have the filter, and I begin to check all the columns one after the other. The columns are quite many, so I'm just going to check the ones that I know have the data quality issues that I have identified before now. All right. So looking at the ID, you can see that the ID has different numbers, all right? And I can see that some values have the same number of characters, but some are quite less. And this is something that could raise concern because why are these set of values different, all right? So I might want to know the number of values that are actually different than the usual, all right? And to be able to make my research and ask questions on why this is like this. I can ask questions because this is an open source data. I really do not have anybody to ask questions from. All right. So what I can do is I can check the other columns that can give me a lead. So looking at this now, I can see that this is a FIFA World Cup data. All right, and I can see the name of the players, their name, their long name, and the like. So from their name, I can try to go to Google and search for the names of the people that I can see have less number of characters in their ID. All right, this is where your asking question skills should come in, because when you're cleaning the data for a particular organization, you need to be able to ask questions. You do not assume that this is not right because of how it looks like or because of how it differs from the usual. It is important to ask questions, all right? So I have the name, and this name is the abbreviation of the first name and then a full last name. Now you can see that there are a lot of unusual characters here. Now let me take you back. There are some data quality issues that you need to identify when you have a data cleaning project to work on, right? And some of these issues are inconsistent values, unusual characters, null values, duplicate, and unstandardized format. So looking at this now, we can see that we have identified one of the data quality issues that we were looking at for. All right. So from here, I can see that some of these have unusual characters because what is this? This is A, but it's written in a different format. Can you see it? So we can see that this has that, and it needs to be taken care of. Can you see it there? So the filter is what you use to see, to have an overview of what you have in that particular column. So this is the long name, which also has the characters. Then we have the photo URL, which of course we may not need in our analysis. We have the player URL. Then we have the nationality. So we can check for the nationality and to see if there are some countries that are not well spelled, or there are some unusual characters that we should not have in our data. Okay, of course, I can see some here. All right. So I have the age, which is the age as at 2021. We have this, which is the overall average. We have the POT, and we have a couple of other values. So here I also have some unusual characters. We're going to see more of it when we begin to deal with each of these columns in Power Query. So you can see the value. Obviously, the value, wage, and release clause have unusual characters in them. But then let's look at it one after the other. Looking at this now, I can see that we have millions. They are expressed in millions. All right. So if I scroll down, I can see millions. And I can also see that some are in thousands. And we need to make sure that our column, our numerical column, are in the same format. They have to have a uniform format. All right. So that is something we need to take care of. Remember, you need to first of all identify the data quality issue that you are dealing with before you dive in. It is very important. Why is this important? It's important so that you can have a documentation of the data quality issues that you identified in the data, and it's also important so that it can guide you in your data cleaning process. You already have in mind the things that you have watched out for and the things that you need to clean in your data. Also, it would guide you into asking questions when required. If you need to ask questions, you will be able to ask your whether your line manager, your client, or whoever it is that you are doing this for. It's very important to ask questions. Okay, so we have some in thousands, some in millions, and the same for the others as well. All right. So then, if we scroll down, these ones are a bit clean because I've checked them. Just make sure you're checking the columns one after the other. All right. So another one that we have here is this. This is this is the rating of the players. All right, we have 1 to 5, the weak foot rating of the players. Then we have the SM, which also explains their skill moves rating. So all these are ratings, same with this IR, and this IR is injury rating as well. So we have unusual characters attached to every number. And so let's look at this EAT. This EAT also has a bit of data quality issue, which is what? Which is some are in hundreds, while some are in thousands, like this. And we don't want to see this scale. We want to see them converted to hundreds, all right? So that 1.4K is seen as 1,400, all right? So you can agree with me that this data is actually dirty. So let's go right into it. We're going to be using Power Query Editor in Excel to deal with this data. So follow me as I go through these, all right? So let's get into Power Query by going to data, okay, and from table or range. So it picks this. Okay, so we have this data from this table or range. Let's wait for it to load. Automatically, it has selected all the data set there. We've checked my table as headers, so we can identify this as the header. So we click on OK. Okay, here we go. Here we are. Power Query Editor. It's an amazing tool, trust me. We have our data. So we have identified the data quality issues that we want to deal with. We're just going to pick them one after the other until we are done with them. All right. So first off, one thing I want to do is I want to make sure that these values fit in perfectly. I do not want to have all these extra spaces that I have in all of this cells. All right. So how do I do that? I go to the view section here. Then I uncheck show white spaces. All right. So when I uncheck show white spaces, it automatically adjusts. Let's go back to the home and let's begin to deal with each column, and we'll have all the columns cleaned. So first off, I am going to check the number of characters that I have. I'm going to check the most common number that I have in this ID. I mean the count of the characters in each of these values, so that I'll be able to identify if there is a certain pattern in the ones that are quite unusual. All right. So first off, I will go here and I will try to use a Power Query feature to count the number of characters in each value. So I'll go to the transform and I'll go to the extract here to check the length. Then I'll click on length. All right. Automatically it changes it, but I don't want it to do that because I want to see the ID and I want to see their respective length. So I'm going to get rid of this, and instead of that, I'll go to add column so that it can add it to it. And I'll go to extract and then go to length. So this is going to go to the very last, but I want it to be right beside that so I can compare easily. So I'm just going to right click and I'll move to the beginning. So right click and go to move, then I'll move it to the beginning and I would move it. So let me just put this right beside this here. It's temporary, by the way. Just trying to see the length. All right. So let's look at the filter here. So we have different lengths. We have 2, 4, 5, and 6. All right. We have 2, 4, 5, and 6. So let's see the ones that have 2. Let's see how many they are. It's just 1. It is just 1 Iniesta. This is a call for concern because it's just 1. If there were more than 1, maybe we can think that, okay, probably there's a possibility that some players will have 2 IDs. All right, those that are fan of football, I'm sure they are probably saying it's right or it's wrong. But then, do you know what I'm going to do to confirm? I'm going to ask questions. But because it's an open source data, I'll go to Google and ask Google, what is the ID of Iniesta? And I'm going to do the same for to see how many do we have as 4. We have way more. There's a possibility that this can be correct. But then still, just to make sure that my data is accurate, I'm still going to go to Google to confirm or maybe ask a football fan that I know. So I'll do the same for 5, although 5 is close to 6, but so 5 is a lot. So I can still say that 5 can be correct. I'm not going to Google now because that is going to take time. But that is what I would do. These are the steps that I will take to confirm the integrity of the values that are in the ID column. Right. So let me get rid of this because I do not need it anymore. So I'm just going to get rid of this length by, I can just go ahead and delete it, all right? But I don't want to have too many apply steps here. I mean, it's not a problem to have too many, but if I can manage it well, why not? So I have the long name, I have the name here, I have the long name. And you know what we saw? We saw that they have lots and lots of unusual characters, all right? Looking at this here, they have lots of unusual characters. A that has something on the top like a crown, and we have A with cube roots, A with 1.5 or 1/4, and all so on and so forth. All right. So what we can do is we can try to look for a pattern with these values and see if they actually represent another letter. For example, when I was clearing this data with the Excel function, I realized that anything that has to do with A with a crown on the top means a particular letter, maybe E, all right? And anything that has A, you see you have many A crown. So what I did was that I went to check the name of a couple of players that have that crown in their name. So when I did that, I went to check their actual names, and then I saw that the ones that have A with a crown actually means that the A with the crown is an E, something like that. It's just an instance. All right. When I saw that, I came here and I replaced all with E, and I did that for every single unusual character that I could find a pattern with. And at the end of the day, I was able to complete that. Do you know how long that would take? That would take a very long time to complete, but it is actually going to be done. Now, I just need one column that would represent their names. I really do not need this and this. Remember that whenever you're clearing data, you need to have your goal in mind. What exactly are you planning to achieve with this data? Do you just want to clean it, or do you actually do not need some columns in your analysis? For example, if after cleaning you have some analysis to do, you need to be able to identify the columns that you need for your analysis. If you don't need the rest, you can get rid of them. That is why it's important to create a copy of your data before you begin to clean, because after you delete a column, what if eventually you realize that you actually need that column, right? So what you can do is you need to have your goal in mind, and you need to be able to identify the columns that you need to achieve that goal. All right. So I just need a long name column. I really do not need that much. I don't need this and this. So I don't have to bother myself about cleaning this and then coming here to clean it again. Now, this is where understanding your data comes in. Let's say I don't need this and I don't need this, but I need this. But then this also has the unusual characters. They do. Look at it. Right. Now, what you should do is whenever you are cleaning the data, try as much as possible to look keenly into your data. Try to understand the columns that you have. If I scroll to the right now, I see something like player URL. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? I'm seeing the names here. Their names without unusual characters. Do you want to confirm? Let's see. So if I look through here, I can see the names without any unusual character. So this is my go-to. Looking at this, I really do not need to have to disturb myself with cleaning this column and this column. Why? Because I can always get the name from this column. The name has no unusual character, so I can always get it from there. So what I'll do is I'm just going to get rid of this, and this, because I don't need their photo URL. Actually, I don't need it. So I'm just going to delete this all the way to here. All right, so I'm just going to do this and remove columns. Bye bye. So I have this player URL, and all I need to do is I just need to extract their names from this. Now, remember when I talked about the ID? Now, you know that there were some that were not having the same length of characters like the others. If you look at this player URL, can you see that we have some numbers here that looks like they align, not looks like they actually align with this. So this is a way to confirm if this ID is actually right or wrong, because this player URL cannot be wrong. I mean, to the best of my knowledge, right? So this boils down to having a keen attention to detail. Let's get out these names and the ID as well. So what do we do? What comes to your mind? To get these names out, we're going to extract them. So we'll go to the add columns. So that's where we are. Then we'll go to the extract. All right, we want to extract a text that is between delimiter. The delimiter in data analysis or in the context of data is what divides values in your data. All right, so in this case, we have a slash. So we are going to bring out the names that lies in between two slashes, right? Slashes, whatever. So we'll go to the text between delimiters, all right? So it's asking us that where is the delimiter starting from? No, not where is it starting from. Which delimiter is the first and which one is the second? I mean, which one is the before the text and which one is after the text that you're trying to extract? So we have a slash that starts with that comes before the name. Then we have a slash that comes after the name. But then there are lots of values in between slash here. So we need to be able to be specific about what we're extracting. So let's go to the advanced option here so that we can be more dynamic with it. All right. So we want to specify where it should start from. Should it start from the beginning of the characters or from the end? So let's start from the end of the input so that it will start counting from here. All right. So it's asking that how many delimiters should it skip? Especially when you have the same delimiter occurring multiple times in the value. All right, so we have this here. We have the same scenario here. So we want it to skip how many delimiters? We want it to skip 2, so that you can skip this and skip this as well before it gets to where it's going. All right, so we're going to type in 2. So it's asking that it wants to scan for the end of the delimiter. This is for the beginning of the delimiter. All right, I want to skip 1, 2. Okay, that's 3. All right, that's 3. So the end of the delimiter, which is the one that ends it here. Okay, so we want it to start from. Do we want it to start from the start delimiter, which is this, towards the end, or want it to start from the start delimiter towards the start of the input, which is from here to the back or from here to the front? But of course, we want from here to the front, all right? So from the start delimiter towards the end of the input. How many delimiter do we want it to skip? 0. All right. So we click on OK. So if I scroll to the right now, it should give me the names. Okay, it's giving me the numbers. But of course, we even need the numbers as well. But then for now, we need the name. So let's go back to it. Click on this setting icon here, and the number of delimiters to skip before it gets there should be so we type in 3, and it's counting from here 1, 2, 3, and would pick this one. Or we want to 1, 2, so it can pick this one. Okay, so this should be 2, not 3. When we want to pick the numbers, we type in 3. Okay, so let's see. Yes, we had the name. So this is the new name of the players. So let's just name this as the name. All right, we're still coming back to cleaning it, but let's move it to the very beginning. So we'll go to the move, and we move to the beginning. All right, so the next is we want to extract this number. Why? Because we want to compare it with this. It's always important to have in mind the reason why you are taking a certain step. You don't just take the step because you just want to. We are taking it because we want to use it to compare the actual ID to be sure that they are the same. So the next thing we need to do is we need to extract the number, like I said, all right, the ID in between. So we can just take the same step by going to extract, and but of course we don't really need anything here again. We only need a number. So let's just transform it. Transform will not add a new column. Transform will just transform what you have. It will just change what you have in that column to the new changes that you've made to it. So let's just use the transform here. Then we extract. Then we'll go to text in between delimiters. Then we'll specify the beginning and the end. Then we'll use the advanced option to make sure that this starts from the end of the input and that it skips 3 delimiters, just as we did before. Then the last one is from the start of the delimiter towards the end, of course, then is 0. So let's click on OK, and that should give me the numbers. You see. So this is number. This is just ID 2. We're still going to get rid of this. This is just a means to an end to be able to compare this and this together as well. So how do we compare it? Let's use the conditional column. All right. Now, what we are going to do with the conditional column is we're going to say, if this is equals to this, then give me true. Otherwise, give me false. That's it basically. So that we can be able to identify the ones that are false, and we'll be able to see that these ones are the ones that do not align. All right. So we'll go to the add column. To add the conditional column, then we're going to say that if what's the column name now? ID1 is equals to ID2. So here we're just going to select a column. You can enter a value, but instead we'll select a column so you can compare the values between the 2 columns. So this is ID2. Then what should it give me? Just give me false. All right, give me false. False. Otherwise, give me true. What's here? Enter a number value. Okay, it is not seeing it as a numerical column. Yes, this is it. So let's treat this. I think that this has let's try to convert it to a numerical value. Let's change this to whole number. Okay, so it has changed. So let's go back to do it. Let's go to transform. No, add column, conditional column, and let us pick them. If ID is equals to ID2, then true, right? If it is equals to this, then true. Otherwise, then give me false. So that will confirm it for me. So I have true, false, true, false. No, I don't have false yet. Until I confirm. From what I'm seeing true. So let's click on this to see load more. So let's see. Everything is true. So that means that those IDs rather are correct. Interesting. This is a way to confirm if they are true. I mean, if they are the same or not. Remember, we could do this because we're able to study our data very well and we got a lead from the player URL. If we did not check very well, we just hurriedly went to delete the photo URL and the player URL because we think that we don't need them, then we just spend so much time to clean the name columns. All right, so it's important to pay attention to detail. So we don't need this anymore. I'm just going to get rid of this. I'm just going to remove this, and then I go ahead to this place and remove this as well. All right, so I remove this. Next up, we need to clean the name column. Yeah, a new name. So what are the things that I can identify? First off, I can see a delimiter in between here, and there's no unusual character. I mean, thanks to what we saw, what we could get. So what we need is we need to get rid of the dash in between, and let me get rid of this because it just adds to it automatically. I should get rid of this too. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I want to get rid of this in between here. I just use find and replace. I replace this dash with nothing so that it's just going to be space in between and not this dash. All right, so I can just right click and go to my replace values here, and then I replace dash. Value to find is dash, replace with what? Nothing, and I click on OK. So it automatically replaces it. But then we've made a mistake. I mean, I have made a mistake because I was supposed to replace them with a space. Now it's all merged together. So I can just go back. Thankfully, Power Query gives you the privilege to edit the changes you've made and able to delete a certain step. That is one thing I love about Power Query. So I can either delete this step and do it again, or I just edit it. So I'll just click on this and edit this. So values to find is dash, but replace with what is space. And I'll click on OK. Then I can now go ahead to use the transform feature here and then just change them to capitalize each word so that each of them will be capitalized. Clean on that. It is cleaned. All right. So this is cleaned. The ID as well is cleaned because we have confirmed that they are right. This data, I mean, this World Cup, or the source of this data, or should I say the origin of this data, is in 2021, and I want to add up to their ages because this is definitely not their current age. So let's say we are 2 years after 2021, and I want to add 2 years to their age so that I am very accurate with my analysis. I'm not using ages from, it depends on what I want to do actually. If I am trying to report their current age and compare it with their salary or whatnot, then I definitely need to add up to this. So when you also clean data, your business question should also linger in your mind, except of course you're just cleaning just to make it ready for whoever it is that is going to analyze it. But if you're the one analyzing and you already have the business question you want to ask in mind, you need to be able to put that in mind while you clean. All right, so let's assume that I am doing this because I need their current age. So I'm going to be adding up 2 to each of their ages. How do I do that? It's pretty simple. So I'm just going to transform because I want this to be changed. I don't need a new column. I just want this to be changed. If I needed a new column, I'll just use add new column, but I don't. I need it to be transformed. So I can go to this, I can click on this, then I go to standard. We add 2. All right, so I enter 2 and I click on OK. So their changes will be changed. I mean, their ages rather would be changed and will be +2. All right. So now looking at this now, this is the column header is the one with the issue, and this should just be edited to over. So that is simple. So now let's check the column to be sure. I mean, we already checked the columns, and we just not to to make sure this video is not too long, we're just going to go directly into the columns that we want to clean. So I'm just going to get rid of this, and I'm going to scroll to the right. Okay. Now we have the unusual character here. I mean, there is no lead artist. There is no other need to get us the club. But then let's just go ahead and do it. Okay. So from my research now, I've been able to identify the actual values of each of these unusual character. All right. There are some German clubs that have this accent on their letters. For example, U with dot dot on the top. I already have them copied somewhere. So I'm just going to be replacing all of these unusual characters with the actual value. All right. So for example, I'll just go here and go to, I want to replace this A1/4 with the actual value. I think it is U with a sign, U that has accent. All right. So this A with the half actually occurs in quite a number of clubs. So if I replace this with the unusual, with the other character, with the actual character, all of them will be replaced as well. So I'm just going to be doing it for each of the unusual characters that I can find here as well. So I already have a compilation of them. I'm just going to be copying and replacing them. I'm just going to be replacing them directly. All right. So I'll just go to the replace values here, and I will type in the values I want to replace. Now I cannot type in these unusual characters directly here. So I would have to go and copy it from where I have it to this place. All right. So I have those characters in now. All right. So I'm just going to click on OK. So it's going to replace everyone that have that, every value that has that character with this. And that is going to be clean like that. All right. You see why we need to be careful, because these are actually can be seen as unusual characters, but they're actually the correct one for those clubs, because those characters have accent. All right. Those letters have accent. All right. So now we'll go to another one. Then we'll keep picking them until we are done. So let's go on to this one that has this. So what we can do is we can just filter this like this, and then we copy this. All right. You can see that there's a lot. Yeah. So we can copy this here, just as what I wanted to do to that. Copy this and then replace. But what you need to know is that when you filter like this, whatever you do will continue from here. You cannot get the data that you filtered again, except of course you go back to the steps here. But once it crosses to this place, it will filter this out. So you can only do that to just copy and have that value in your clipboard. Then you can delete this and then go back to here and replace it. So I can replace this again and just replace values. Control V. If it's not copying, they will need to do the same thing just as we did for everything. So I'm going to do that for everything, and I'll be right back. So here we have this one as well. All right. So you can see that they are unusual characters. I'm doing this because I'm trying to improvise. I cannot directly type this from my keyboard, same as this. All right. So that is why I'm trying to improvise. I copied the club that has this unusual character. I went to Google to search for the actual name. Then I copied the replacement for this. So I did that. I did that for values that have these characters. So upon searching, I realized that all of this should be replaced with this. There is a pattern. You need to be able to identify a pattern. Once you see that different values have the same kind of character, has a particular character that is uniform, we go and check. Okay, let's check two of these values to be sure that those characters can be replaced with the same value. So for example, this one, for every value that has this one, they should be replaced with this. Can you see that this is 0 and O with an accent? All right, so we click on OK and that will be done. So I'm going to do that for every single value that has different characters. All right, so I'll be right back. So this is the last one. This is actually this. It was pretty easy because these are in different values. It's not just in one value. So all of the values that have this exact character in those values will be replaced with this. All right. So I think it was a couple of values. a couple of characters, like probably 10 or less. Okay, so looking at this column now, I don't have those characters anymore, except of these ones that I changed myself because this is actually the correct spelling. All right, so looking at it now, it is perfectly clean. These are the clubs of those players. Oh, look at it, look at it. Good. And some have no club. Okay, then we can now move into the next column. Now this is their contract. That means when did they start from, when did they end. All right, now this is where understanding your problem, your business problem comes in, or the problem that you're trying to solve with the data comes in. For example, if I want to know how long is the contract for each player, let's say that is what I want to know from this column. What do I need to do? I need to make sure that they are in separate columns. All right, you need to be able to think about how to approach every single problem that you meet on your way when you are cleaning data analysis. I mean, while you're cleaning your data. All right, so we have the contract starts from this to this. So we need to split them. We need to have contract where the contract begins and where the contract ends. So that if we want to know the difference between those two dates, we can be able to identify, we can identify the length of their contract. Or maybe we even want to know when each of their contracts is going to end. All right, or when each of their contracts started. So we need to make sure that they are in separate columns. How do we do that? We split. There's a delimiter that we can use to split each of these columns. I mean, each of these values, right? So I will go to the split, or I can right click here and go to split column by delimiter. All right. So what is my delimiter? It's going to be custom because I'll need to type it in. Now, does my keyboard have that sign? Yes, it does. So it is space, the sign, and space. Now look at it. You see that there is a space in between, because if you don't take care of this space, this 2021 might go with a space. So see, this is the delimiter. Then we can click on OK and see what we have. All right, so this is 2024. This is when the contract started, and this is where it ended. You can see that automatically it has changed to numerical values because it is not seeing any space. It's not seeing anything that affects the data type. All right, so we cannot change this to when the contract began. Contract began in 2020, whatever, and contract ends. Good. Now it's looking like we have an error here. Let us turn on our column quality so that it can show us what is in the column. So we have 5% error. We have 5% error. Now let us look at the filter to see if we would have insight into where the error is coming from. All right. So let's look at it. Now, if you look at this here, we are saying we could not convert to number, which means there is actually a value in this column that has a character that cannot be converted to number. All right, so now let's take it back because we want to investigate. Okay, let's start from here. So let's look at it. Let's look at the column very well. All right, let's look at it very well. Let's see if we find out can you say? You see where understanding your columns comes in handy. It is very important. Now these are affecting the data type because they are not the same format as this. Now these ones are on loan. It's just probably a one-time thing. So we need to know those that are on loan and those that are on contract. Definitely these ones are not on contract, and some are even free. I want us to have a column that will categorize these people, all right, that would have contract, on loan, or free. The column should have all those. Then we can now deal with the actual values that are associated with them later. All right, so that is what I want to do first. I want to have a new column that would tell if this person is on contract, if this person is on loan, or if this person is doing for free. That is what I want to do. So how do I do that? I need to use the conditional column. So this is how I think about it. If this row contains on loan, then make sure it is loan. If this column contains free, make sure it is free. Otherwise, contract, because if it's not having loan, if it's not having free, and I think the others are just like this, which is on contract, so that is perfectly fine. We have 3 conditions that we want Power Query to follow so that we can have that categorical column. All right, so let's do this. So I'll click on OK. Let me just get rid of this so my steps are not too many. So I can now go to the home. I want to add new column, and it's a conditional column. All right. So what are the conditions? The first one is, let's name this custom. We'll think about that later. Okay, so column name. The first one is what? Not the first one. The actual one is contract, right? Or let me see. Yeah, contract. So let me look for contract. Contract will be somewhere here. Okay, so if contract contains what? Contains on loan. Or let's just put loan. Then it should give me loan. We have 3 conditions, right? Now let's add, well, to add other conditions, we need to put in add clause. So that should give me another layer. So else, if contract contains what? Free. If contract contains free, then give me what? Free. Otherwise, which is the every other one. If we had other conditions that we wanted to check, we'll just continue to add clause until we've exhausted them. All right. So now we already have 2 conditions taken care of here, and the last one is definitely the ones that have this here. Can you see something here? So we'll just say otherwise contract. Did I spell that right? Yeah. So can you see, if we look at this now, we can see this person is on contract, this person is free, this person is loan. This can help us gain insight into how many players were in contract, how many players offered to play for free, and how many were on loan. Do you understand? So this is how having your business question in mind comes in. All right, so I'll just click OK, and that's it. Now we can now go back to deal with that. So let me just move this to the beginning so I can, for easy access. Okay, so I'll just move this to here, close to the club, right? Okay, yeah, here. So I'll just put this here. Good. I have changed this. Why is it giving me this again? So let me just get it. Okay, so now we can now deal with the actual value that is in there. Go to the add column, all right, a conditional column, and we have them splitted into different columns. So I'd say if what's it called? What's the name of the column now? If so I'm saying if contract contains what? Contains this value, all right, then give me the same column, right? So give me the contract. But if it's just the same process basically, but if the same contract contains so I'm just going to go to the conditional column and say if contract contains this value here, then it should have a column, the same column. It should return the same column. So I'm going to put contract. Then else, if it has free, or we're just going to extract only the contract for now. So let's just leave the others, right? So I'm just going to delete this step. So if it has this, then give me the contract column, otherwise nothing. So I can have only the contract column, and I can click on OK, and I can bring this to the beginning so that I can drag it to the middle. All right, so I'm just going to drag it close to the contract, all right, which is here. Okay, so this is the supposed to be the, so what we want to do now is to make sure that these are splitted. All right, so this definitely would not have the free and the loan. So we want to make sure to have the contract begins and contract ends. So we're just going to split this, right? So I'm going to split this by delimiter, and this is going to be at the rightmost delimiter. So the delimiter is the space, the sign, and the space. So we click on OK, so we can have it splitted. So this is contract begins, and this is the contract ends. All right, so that has been settled. Okay, so we also need to extract those that are free. All right, we need to extract those that are free by going to this again. So let's extract those that are free. So we're just going to go here and we're going to use we're just going to go to the conditional column again, and we say if this is free, if contract equals what? Free. Okay, so I think we already have a column that takes care of free. The column that has the category and whether they are contract or they are free or they are on loan. What we need to do is we need to get those columns that have loan. So let's get that out. So we know the dates for those that are on loan. So we're just going to say if this contains on loan or loan, let's just say loan, then return the column. But if it does not contain loan, then do not return anything. So we click on OK. So this is going to give us null and those that are on loan. All right, so what I need from here is I only need the dates for those that are on loan, right? So I will just get rid of the on loan, right, and just make sure the date is just there. So I'm just going to use that by doing a find and replace value rather. So I'm just going to go to replace values, and I will replace on loan. No, I clicked on replace error. So I'm going to replace values. It's not bringing it here, maybe because of the nature of the column. So let me see it here. Replace values. This is it. Okay. So I wanted to find on loan and replace with nothing. All right. So click on OK, and let's see what we have. So we still have on loan, and so let's just check it out again. Okay, so let's just go to on loan. Let's put a space here, replace with nothing. All right, so let's click on OK, and let's see now, do we still have them? Yes, we do. Okay, so what could be the problem? What exactly could be the problem? So let me just select one date and click on OK and see something. So I have on loan here, right? On loan. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm still coming back to this. I just want to copy that and go to replace values, and then I click on this. And I'm saying that replace on loan here with nothing. Click on OK. Did that work? It worked. Okay, so that is just for me to be able to figure out the problem. So I feel like the problem is the nature of the column. So let me just take it back now and try to do it again. You know, I've already copied the values in the cells, right? I've copied the values in one of the values in the cell. So I'm just going to go to replace. It's still not bringing replace value. So let me just replace null with I'm I'm just going to replace null with let's just put 0 first, right? Let's replace null with 0 so that there are values in there. So let's now replace values. You can see that the replace values now is being displayed. So we want to replace on loan with nothing, and we click on OK. On loan, what does it say? Enter a number value. Why should we enter a number value? Okay, that value that was replaced is 0. Let us replace it with a text. All right, let's replace it with none. Click on OK. All right, so now let's go back to it and replace the values. So I'm just going to replace this with let me paste it again. Replace with nothing. Okay, it's good now. Now I can click on OK. So let us see. Now they have been replaced. So we have the date and none. Okay, we're still coming back to none. All right. So we have separated the players on loan from the players on contract. Right. So looking at it now, we can see that we only have the date here. All right. So you might notice a bit of change with the steps, and that is because I didn't save it, and then I had to go back to start the cleaning process again. So that is why it might look like there's a bit of difference between the steps. It's still the same step, but some were taken, they were not taken the same way as before. All right, so what we need to do now is that we need to make sure that the contract begins, we have contract begins, we have contract ends, just as we had already. Then we want to make sure that the years in the loan are also directly in the contract column, right? So that we would have contract slash loan begins, contract slash loan ends, right? So if you scroll down, if we scroll down to the left here, we're going to see a column that explains when the loan ended, right? We'd see something like loan. Okay, let's just go to the column. So I'm just going to go to view and then go to column, and I'll pick the column I want to go to instead of having to scroll. So I'm just going to pick loan date end, and I'll click on OK. So it will take me there. So looking at this loan date end, now we can see that this shows the date that the loan ended. But what we need is we need only the year for this and the year the loan began, so that we can have contract slash loan in the contract slash loan begins in the column that contains when it begins, and in the column that it ends, we also have that for the loan end date as loan date end as well. All right. So what we need to do is we need to extract the date here, I mean the year here, then also extract the year in the loan date end column, right? So we're just going to use, so let us see how it looks like. So what we just need to do is to use the delimiter, which is the comma, including a space, so that it just give us only the year, because the year is all we need, right? So we're just going to split this by going to split column, all right, by delimiter. The delimiter is what? Remember, comma with a space. So I'm just going to put custom. I'm going to put comma with a space. Then I'll click on OK. All right. So this should split it for me. So let me see. Let's look at what we have. Okay. Can you see we have the year now? Now this is what? This is when the contract began. I mean, when the loan began, right? So we can just get rid of this column because we don't need this one. Remove. Then we can now merge this with the contract begins column. Remember that we already have a column that explains whether they are on loan or they are on contract. So we don't need any further detail aside from adding the year to that contract begins column. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to select this, then go ahead to the contract begins column. Where is it now? Contract begins column here. So I'm just going to press Ctrl and select this, and I'll right click and merge the columns. So I'll name this as what? Contract slash loan begins. So it already explains it, right? Exactly. Can you see? So now for this one, now we are now going to go to the loan end date column. You know that one explains when the loan ended, right? So we're just going to go there, which is here. So let's look at what we have. Can you see that this one also has year? So first off, we need to make sure to get rid of this time, then come back to extract the year, right? So we can do that by, let's just directly change the data type and see if that will work. So let's change the data type to date and see if it will work. Okay, that changed it. Good. So what we now want to do is to extract the year. Remember that we want to go and put this year in the contract end column, so we can have contract slash loan end. So we're just going to extract the year from this by going to split. Where's the split now? I'm not seeing split here because it's a date, I guess. But let's see it here. Split by delimiter. What's the delimiter now? A slash, right? A slash before the year. Then it is on the rightmost delimiter. Click on OK, and let's see what we have. So looking at this one now, we have the year already. This is when their loan ended for those that were on loan, right? So if you click on OK now, we can now go and merge this with the contract end column. But then I'm just going to get rid of this because I don't need it anymore. So I'm going to remove this. Then I'll go and merge this with the contract end column. So I've picked this. Then I will go here and also use Control to select contract ends. Control select, right click and then merge. Oh, I guess it has deselected that one. So we'll just go back to pick it now. Loan end date, yeah, here. Then we'll go back here and merge them together. Data cleaning can be very interesting and at the same time a bit draining, right? But still, just need to get it done. It's a crucial part of data analysis that you cannot overlook. So we've selected that. Then we'll use Control, select this, right click, and we merge the columns. So this is contract slash loan ends, right? Contract slash loan ends. Okay. So there we have it, right? So let's convert it to a date. If that will work, let me see. A date, but I want it to be only the year. So let's go to transform and go to date and say year. Pick year. All right. So it gives us only the year. So let's do the same for this. Change the date type. Change the data type to a date. Then we pick the year. So we can pick the year. Okay. So let's see what we have now. Let's load this. So we have an error saying that we could not pass the input provided as a date value, right? Now this is most likely going to be associated with the null values that we have in the column. Remember that some are free, some their contracts are free, and the associated value will definitely be null. So let's see it. Let's confirm. So if I select free now and I click on OK, so the associated value is null. So this is the reason for the error that we have, right? So we can actually let this go because definitely there's no way we can assign values to those that are free, right? Although if they had added the day at which they were added to the session, we can have it here as well, but we don't have that information now, so we have to leave it like that. Or we use, if we're going to use undefined or add another character to it, then it's not going to be seen as a date, right? It's going to be seen as a text. The data type is going to be changed as a text. So if you're not particular about the data type and you just want to will be changed, right? So we need to just we're just going to leave it at that. All right. So you can also see that they don't even have a club. So there's really nothing, no information that we might need to get from there, except of course we want to know the number of people that were contracted for free, right? So I'm just going to get rid of this now, and there we have it. Okay. So now let's move on. So I'm just going to be getting rid of this one because I don't need this column here. I'm just going to remove this column, right? Then go on to the other columns that we have identified. So let's go on to the height column now. What can we see here? So if I check the filter in the height column, what can I see? I can see that some are in centimeter and some are in feet, right? This represents 5 feet 10 inches, and this represents 200 centimeter. Now this is not good for analysis. And remember that at the beginning of the video, I mentioned that unstandardized formatting is one of the data quality issues that you can identify in a dirty data set. This is the issue that we have in this column. If the analysis needs you to put it in a particular format, maybe it can be any format, maybe in centimeter, in inches, in foot, you try as much as possible to make sure that they are all in that format. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to be converting everything to inches. I want to make sure that all the values in this column are in inches. The height is in inches. All right. So now looking at this 5 foot or 5 feet 10 inches, to convert this to inches, 1 foot makes 12 inches. So that means this is going to be 5 times 12, right, plus 10, because this one is already in inches, this one is a foot. We only need to change this one to inches, then add the value to this one, right? The same for every other one. Then we'll come back to the centimeter. All right, so let's start with this. So I'll click on OK, and I will separate the ones that have centimeter from the ones that have inches, so I can deal with them separately. Remember that we want to convert everything to inches. So to separate them, I'm just going to use the conditional column, and I'm going to say that if it contains centimeter, then give me null. If it does not, then give me the value, right? So that it can return the one that has inches for me. Okay, so what is the name of the column? If height contains centimeter, right? Then give me what? Then give me null. Okay, otherwise give me the column values, otherwise give me height. So I'll click on OK, and here I should have the ones that have exactly, right? So what do I need to do? I want to multiply this 5 by 12, and this value would be on its own so that I can add this to this, right? Remember that I'm going to deal with this one separately, deal with that one separately, then I can now merge them together at the end of the day. So what I need to do is, let me just get rid of this one. So what I need to do is, I need to first of all try to extract only that 5. I mean, not only 5 because they are different values, only the first values at the left here. I want to extract them so that I can use them for my calculations. Okay, so I'm just going to use split text to column. I'm just going to split this column. So then we split the column, right? So I'm going to split the column, and I'm going to say split by delimiter. When I split by delimiter, I'm just going to split using the single quote, and I'll click on OK. So let me see what I have here. So the data has been splitted, all right, and remember what we want to do is that we want to convert it from that to inches, all right, from feet inches to inches overall. Okay, so I said that so what I'm going to do now is to convert them, to change the data type to numerical data so that I can perform arithmetic operations to it. So I'm going to change this one as well to whole number. Okay, so what do I want to do? I want to multiply this by 12 and add the remaining value to this. So I'm going to start with this, and I'll go to standard, I'll go to multiply. So it's going to ask me what I want to multiply the value by. I want to multiply it by 12. Okay, so let's see, that should have been multiplied by 12. Can you see that's changed from 5 to 60? Okay, so now we want to add this to this. All right, so what I can do is to select this first column, select the second column, right click, and select this column, select the second column using shift select, right click, and we'll go to, no, not right click, we'll go to standard, shift select. So we go to add column, we go to standard, and we add them together so that to give us a separate column. So looking at this now, this has added them together. Can you see? So this is 64 inches, 66 inches, 67 inches, and so on and so forth. So this is now in inches. Now we don't need this anymore, so we can just get rid of these values, these columns here. So we remove these columns. Now we have this in inches. Remember that this is a part of the original height column. Now we still need to deal with the height column that is in centimeter. Well, we need to convert it to inches as well. Okay, so let's go to height. This is height. Now let's see what we have in the height. Remember, from this height we were able to extract this one, this type. Now I want to extract this centimeter. Okay, so we can use the same process by going to add column, conditional column. Then we go to if the height contains cm, then it should give me the column, right? Otherwise it should give me nothing, so that I can deal with it. So give me height, otherwise give me nothing. So I'll click on OK, and it's going to give me the column that I need. Okay, so what do I want to do is I want to convert this to inches, like I said, right? And the first thing I will need to do is I will need to get rid of this centimeter because it is affecting the data type. I won't be able to do any arithmetic operation. So I'll just go to find and replace. Replace values. I'll say find and replace because of Excel. So I'll go to centimeter and replace with nothing. That is settled. Then I can now change the data type to whole number. Okay, whole number. So they are in centimeter, and now I want to change it to inches. So from my reset, if I want to change any value to inches, I will need to multiply it by 0.393. Okay, so I'll just select the column like this, go to standard and multiply it by 0.3933701. Okay, so that is how I'll multiply it. Then I have this, so I can now round this up by going to rounding, and then I'll round it up. Okay, so this is now in inches, this is also in inches. We have converted them to the same format. Now what do we need to do? We need to make sure they're in the same column, right? So we just merge them together. Select this, shift select this, right click, and then we merge the columns together. So what do we call it? This is the new height. All right, new height. Okay, so now if you look at this column here, you would see that the formats are the same. Can you see the formats are the same? Okay, so we can now change this to numerical column, whole number. Okay, so that has been solved. Now let's move this to where the height is. Okay, so we're just going to move. Let's move to the beginning, so it's easier to move from there. I think we need an update where we can select the number of rows or columns we want to move by. So if you know how to do this, please drop it in the comment section. I'm open to learning. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this close to the row, the weight, right? So this is where I want it to be. Now I don't need this column again because I have gotten what I needed from it. So I'm just going to remove this, and I will change this to height and indicate that this height is in inches. Alright, instead of putting inches close to them, I just put it here so that it will not affect the data type. If I put the inches close to each of these values, it will affect the data type. So this height column now is perfectly clean. Okay, can you see valid 100%, right? And then even if we check here, we can see that this is clean. Okay, now let's go into the weight column. Let's see what we have in the weight column. Looking at the weight column now, we have some in kilogram and we have some in pounds. So which one should we convert it to? Do we convert to kilogram? Do we convert to pounds? We have to ask questions, right? We have to ask whoever the analysis is for or the data cleaning is for. You know, as data analysts, we need to be able to ask questions as much as possible. It's never too much. But since it's an open source data, I'll just try to convert them to a specific format because they all have to be in the same format. And I also need to make sure that these attached units are not there, because if they are there, they affect the data type. You cannot do any numerical, you cannot do any arithmetic operation here because of this. All right, convert everything to kilogram, right? So all the ones that are in pounds will be converted to kilogram and everything will be in kilogram. So let's start with that. So we'll start by separating them, separating those that are in pounds from those that are in kilograms so that we can deal with them separately. Okay, so let's start with that. So how do we do that? Conditional formatting. So we're going to use conditional formatting to separate them. So we go to add column, conditional column, and we go to if the weight contains kg, then return null. All right, otherwise return the column. This is for me to get only the ones that are in pounds, else return the column. So I'll click on OK. All right, so I have a new column containing the ones that have pounds. How do I deal with them first? I need to get rid of this LBS, right? Because if I don't do that, I will not be able to do any arithmetic operation, right? So I'm just going to use the replace values and I will replace LBS with nothing. LBS with nothing. So I'll click on OK, and this should give me the values and the values only. All right. So now let me convert the data type to whole number. Okay. So now how do I convert from pounds to kilogram? 1 pound is equivalent to 0.45 kg. So that means that I need to multiply all of them by 0.453. Okay, so I'll just go to the standard again and multiply by 0.453. Okay, so these should be converted to pounds, right? So what do we need to do? Let us approximate. So I'm just going to go to the rounding here and then I'll round it up. So this has been converted to what? Kilogram. Remember that the original weight is actually in kilogram. But what we just need to do with that is that we need to get rid of the attached kg. So let's go right there. So I'm just going to move this to the beginning so that I can easily move it close to the weight column. Okay. So this is the original kg, original weight column. All right. So I need to extract those that have kg here so that I can, I should have even brought it here first because this is still going to the back. So I'm just going to get this out here. I'll just leave it like that. Okay. So from here, I'm going to add column, conditional column, and I'm going to say if it contains kg. If weight contains kg, then return the column, otherwise return null. Okay, so that I can return only the ones that have kg. That's why I'm doing this. Yeah, so this is why I brought this back, because I'll still need to combine them here and just move them at the same time. Okay, so let us get rid of the kg now. Let me see. Can you see that it's only kg that is here? So let us get rid of this kg by using the replace. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of this. So I'm just going to replace values, replace kg with nothing. Okay, Good. Now I can now change the data type to O number. Then I can combine them together. So I'm just going to merge this with this so they are in the same column, merge columns. So this is the new weight and this is in kg. Okay, so let's make sure this is a numerical column. So change the data type to O number. Now we can move it. So I'm just going to right click and move to beginning. Then I would drag. I'm just going to put this here and there we go. Okay, so this is the original weight, this is the original weight and this is the converted weight. So I'm just going to remove this, we don't need it anymore, and I'm just going to type in weight, and this is in kg, right? And there we go, perfectly cleaned. Okay, so let's check this column. From our data quality assessment, the next column we are going to be working with is the wage. Now look at this join. This is when they joined, right? This is when each of the players joined. Now this is supposed to be in date format because this time are not valid, all right? This time are not valid. So let's just convert it to date, and that is it. Good. So let's move on. Now look at this value, wage, and release clause. They all have similar issues. Okay. First off, they have an unusual character. Secondly, the formatting. All right. Some are in millions, some are in thousands. Okay, I think this one is in millions altogether. Let's see. Okay, some are actually in thousands. So first off, we'll deal with the unusual characters, then we can come to deal with the formatting. Let's look at it here too. This one is just in thousand, and this is in millions only. Okay, so let's try as much as possible to change so first off, we're just going to remove the unusual character. So let me just copy this, then I'll replace values, right? Then I'll paste it here, then I'll just pick only the unusual character and replace with nothing. Okay, so I'll just click on OK, and that will be done. Okay, so let's do the same for this. So I'm just going to right click, replace values, replace value to find is this, then replace with nothing. Do the same for this as well. Right click, replace values. Want to replace this with nothing as well. So that has been settled. So let's look at the value column. All right, so looking at the value column now, what can we see? We can see that some values are in millions, right? They have M attached to them, which of course will affect the data type. You know, it has M and will not be able to do some numerical arithmetic operations, right? Now some have K. So what do we want to do? We want to make sure that all these M and K are converted to zeros, so that if it has K, for example, this one that has K now, I can have 9,000, 9 with 3 zeros, right? And for those that have million, I can have 6 zeros at the end, so that all are in zeros. I don't need to have M or K in that column, so that if I want to do any arithmetic operation, I'll be able to do it, and also to make sure that they are all in hundreds, whether it's hundreds of thousands or hundreds of millions or whatnot. All right, so how do I achieve this? The first thing I need to do is to treat them separately. So I'm going to separate the ones that have millions from the ones that have thousands. So what that means is that I'm going to say if it contains M, then separate it to a particular column. Then if it contains K, let it be in another column as well. All right, so that's what we want to do. So we're just going to do it one after the other, then we'll tackle each of them. So let's get to it. All right, so we'll go to our add column. We'll go to our add column, then we'll say conditional column. Then what do we need to what's the condition? The condition is if, let me bring this down, if value contains letter M, then return the value, return whatever it is that in the column, so that only the ones that have M will be returned, otherwise return null. Okay, so then we click on OK, then we have it in a new column, so we can deal with it. The first thing we would need to do is to remove the M. All right, so we're just going to replace value, replace M with nothing, okay. Now remember that these are in millions, so how do we convert them to hundreds of millions, right? So that they can have zeros, zeros, zeros at the end, respective zeros. So what do? We multiply it by 1 million. Okay, so we go to transform. We don't need to create a new column for that. So we go to transform, go to statistics. Okay, they are null because the data type is still text. So let's just change data type to a whole number. Okay, so it's going to be approximated, or we can just change it to, let's change it to decimal, so that the decimals can still be retained. So we'll go to decimal number and they are properly converted. Okay, so now let's multiply this by what? By 1 million. So I can go to standard, multiply by 1 million. So we have 6 zeros, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Yeah, 1 2 3 4 5 6, 1 million. So we click on OK. All right, so they have all been converted to millions. So we would know that this is 1 2 3 4 5 6. This is 103,500,000. All right, so we already have the respective zeros to each of them. This is good. Now let's go back to those that have K. All right, so we're just going to extract that as well. So we'll go to the value section. Then we're going to use the conditional column again and say if it contains K, then just tackle it. Okay, so we're saying if value contains K, all right, then the column itself, all right, which is value, otherwise empty, so we can deal with K alone. So we're just going to use the same method. So this is going to be multiplied by what? You guessed right, 1000. All right, 1000. So let's first change this data type. Let's see the kind of values that we have there, whether they are decimals or whole number, so we can be careful. Okay, so we have most of them, we don't have decimals. Okay, so let's first of all get rid of this K. So we'll get rid of this K and use replace values. Replace values is not showing here because there are more null values than actual value. Okay, so we're just going to try to fill in the null value temporarily. So we're just going to go to transform, then we'll go to replace values, and then we are replacing null with let's say none, right? Then we'll click on OK. So now we should be able to see replace value from here. So we say replace value, then we are replacing what? We are replacing a K with nothing. Okay, then we can now go back to remove the none that we changed. So we can change none back to empty. Okay, that settles it. So now let's now convert it to 1000 appropriately by multiplying by 1000. Okay, so let's see what we have already. Can you see? So let's multiply by 1000 such that each of them are, like this one can be 100,000, 110,000. Okay, so let's go to transform. Then it's no, because this is still, the data type is still text. So let's change data type to a whole number. Okay, so then we can now multiply this by 1000. So multiply by 1000. Good. So this will be in thousand now. Okay, let's see. All right, so what do we do now? Let's merge them together. Let's merge these two values together, these two columns rather. So I'll just select this, shift this, then I merge columns, and I name this, let's just name this new value, right? New value. Click OK. So this is my new value column. Can you see they are appropriately formatted, right? Can you see? So what do we need to do now? Let us convert data type to numerical value. So let's make it an whole number. So we can do any arithmetic operation with this. All right. So let's now move this to the left. Okay. So we can now get rid of this column and remove. Then I can now put the proper column header. So this is value and the currency is in dollars. All right, and that settles it. Okay, so let's now go on to the wage, which seems like it also has the same data quality issues, but let's confirm. So these ones are in K. All right, let's see the other columns. Let's see if they are all in K or some are in millions. Okay, so if I scroll down, they are all in thousands. So what can I do? I just replace K with nothing. I replace K with nothing. Then I can now convert the data type to numerical data or number. Then I multiply by what? By 1000. 1000. Okay? Good. So doing that now, I have properly formatted them and there is no text in those numbers, right? I can do aggregations. If I want to say, okay, what is the total wage that was paid by each club, I can get that information. But if they are having those kind of attached units, it will affect the aggregation. It will affect the calculation. Or if they are in different formats, it will affect the calculation. But now they are perfectly okay. Okay, so now let's add it as dollars. Let's add the currency. Now let's look at the release clause. Let's see what we have there. So in the release clause now we have millions. Do we have thousands? Do we have thousands? We have. So we're just basically going to be doing the same thing that we did with the value column. So what I'm going to do is, instead of having to do them all over again, I'm just going to go to the step that I took that saved the value section, the value column. So I'll just go to this step, then so I'll just go to the step that would show add conditional column, right? Which is this one. So I think it was this step that I took that gave me the extra column here. Can you see? So I'm just going to do the same thing. What I'm going to do is, instead of having to do it all over again for the release clause, right? I'm just going to go to this one, which is the step that I took to take care of this. So I'm just going to go to this step and I'm going to copy what I have here. Control A, Control copy. Then I go back to the last step that I took. Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to fix this one, right? I've copied what I did with this. With this rather. Let me scroll down. This is not the last one. Okay, this is the last one. So I have copied what I did with value because I can see that there is a pattern. Value and release clause have the same problem. So instead of having to do the same process all over again, I just want to copy what I did with the value section, right? And I want to do the same here. Okay, so I have copied it now. Then I'm going to go to add column. I'll go to custom column. All right, I'll go to custom column. Then I'm going to paste what I copied, right? So I've copied this, and what I need to do is I just need to make some changes to it, right? So I'm going to change the name from this to custom 2. So I'm just going to change this to custom 2. This represents the step that was taken before this current step, right? If you look at this one now, let me scroll up. I can't see it here, but I'll show you. So the step before the conditional column step was multiplying column 3. That is why you have this in record. So what I'm going to do is that I need to change this to this step, the step that comes before what I want to do currently. So I'm changing this to filtered rows. You need to make sure it's the same thing. Filtered rows 21. Can you see? Then I have changed the name, because if I leave the name at that, it's not going to work, because there is a column that has been named custom 1. So I'm going to change this to, I'm going to leave this as K, and I'm going to leave this as, I'm just going to change the column that I'm working with. So from value, I will change it to release clause. Release clause, where are you? Release clause, where are you? Okay, this is release clause. Then I'll do the same here with release clause. So what I have done is I copied what I did in the value step that helped me extract the millions from the thousands, right? Then I want to do the same thing here. What I just did is I had to change the step before the current step. Then I also had to change the name of the new column. Then I need to also replace my column, the column I'm working with, and I'll click on OK. So this has given me table. So if I click on table, it's going to give me the values that I want. So let me look at this now. Let's load it. Can you see it has given me those that have thousands, because I copied that. Okay, so I can click on OK and I can go further. What I just need to do is to change the null to none. Okay, I can also go ahead to go and copy those steps and do it over again, but I wouldn't want to confuse you too much. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead to do it. So I'm just going to replace. The replace is not appearing. You know why, right? Because of the null. So I'll need to go to the transform and replace null with none, right? So I'm going to replace null with none. Okay. So once that is done, I can now replace K with nothing. Remember that the column contains values with K. So I can now go to replace values and then replace K with nothing. Then I can also go ahead to replace none rather. So I'm just going to replace values, then find none, replace it with nothing. What next? What next? Let's see. What next? What do we have? We have our values without K. So we multiply by what? 1000. Remember that they're in thousands, right? So we'll just go to transform. We just go to transform. Then it's not showing because of the data type again. So just go to the data type and change it to whole number so we can multiply by 1000. So multiply by 1000. Data cleaning is definitely a process. Okay, so that settles it. Now let's go back to pick that of millions, and then we can do the same process, right? So we're just going to go to, so let me just use the go to. So I'm going to release clause, right? So I'm going to release clause and I'll click on OK. All right, so let's now extract those that have millions. So let's take the same step, right? We can just go to add column, custom column, Then we just paste what we have, what we've copied. Remember that you don't always have to do like this. You can manually use the conditional column like I did before, right? I'm just doing this to make things faster. So I'm going to change this to the current step, which is multiplied column 6. Change the column name, right, which is custom 3. Then also change my column, because the column I'm currently working with is what? Release clause. Okay, so I'll just go to release clause. I'll click on release clause. Here I'll also click on release clause, but this time I am trying to extract million, so I'll change this to the capital letter M. Click on OK. So we should have our value. So if I click on table, the value will be displayed. Okay, perfect. So you know the right step, right? We change the M to nothing, we convert to a whole number, then we multiply by 1 million. So not whole number because they have decimals, remember. So let's get rid of this and go to whole decimal. Then we can multiply by what? By 1 million. I mean, these players are okay. So multiply by 1 million. Did I get the zeros right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So that is perfect. What next? We merge this with this, and then we are good to go. So shift, select this, then we merge columns, and let's just leave it at merge. You can always change it later. So we click on OK. What next? Data type. Okay. So some are having lots of decimals. Let me see why. So let me just select this step and see. For this one, right? I think that was for those that have millions. Those that have millions, some of them have decimal. Okay, so I think we're just going to have to let me see why some of them are having millions though. I mean having long decimals. Okay, so this is supposed to be 107,800,000, right? Let me see what I had. So I'm just going to go to here, multiplied column. Let me see why. So if I scroll now, I'm seeing some having 229999999. This is 47 1 2 3 4 5 6. This is more like 4. This is more like 1 2 3 4 5 6. This is more like 470,000. No, that's not right. Let me see here. Let me see what I multiplied it by. So if I click on this setting icon, I can see what I've done. So I multiplied by 1 2 3 4. Okay, I multiplied by 10,000 or 100,000 instead of 1 million, right? So it's supposed to be 1 million, which is 1 2 3 1 2 3. Yeah, so this is the correct way to do it. So I have edited that, and let's see the result. That is why it's always advisable to check what you have done. After you take a certain step, you check to be sure that you have done the right thing. So let's see now. Okay, so this is let's see, for this one now, this is 1 2 3 4 5 6. So this is 17,300,000. So let me see those ones that have decimals. So this is 1 2 3 4 5 6. This is 16,600,000. Good. So now I can now get rid of those decimals by using a whole number. Okay, perfect. So now let's merge them together. So I'm just going to do that by selecting both columns. It's still loading. So let me see. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 2.2 million naira. Okay, so there are definitely millions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 14 million 300,000. Okay, so let me look at it again just to be sure. So to look at it here, I can even look at it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they are definitely multiplied by 1 million. So now let's merge it with this one. Okay, so I'm just going to use Shift Select, right click, and merge column. So this is their release clause. Okay, let's just leave it as merge. This is their release clause. So I have merged them, but then remember that I have done some other steps here. So if I go like this, I mean they're affected because I've already merged them here. So I can just go ahead and remove this step that I did here. It has affected the other steps that I've done. So I'm just going to remove it so that others can be applied. So let's look at it here. So they have been perfectly merged. So what I did was, so that I don't get too confused, when I confirmed the multiplication that I did, I went ahead to merge it, forgetting that I have done other steps here. So it affected the subsequent steps that I've taken. That was why I had to remove it, because I already have it here. Can you see? So what I need to do now is to convert this to the correct data type, which is whole number. Then I can now move this to the appropriate section. So I'm just going to change the column header to, first off, let me delete this. So I'm going to delete this, then I will change this column header to release class, and then add the currency, which is dollars, and that settles it. Okay, so let's go on to the other columns that have issues. All these are fine. Okay, so let's go. Other column that we identified during our data quality assessment are these that have ratings. So what we just need to do, let's see what is in the column. All right, so it's loading, be patient, it's here. Okay, so we have just 1 to 5 with this unusual character. You know we're going to replace it. Okay, so let's just go ahead to replace values. So we replace values, and we replace, oh, let's copy it first, right? Because we don't have this character on my keyboard. So I'm just going to copy this, then I'll just select both at the same time. Then I'll replace this value. So let me just get rid of this number and leave this space in front. So I'm replacing with nothing, right? So I'm just going to replace both at the same time since they have the same nature. Okay, so I'm just going to, we're just going to right click, replace values, paste this here. Oops. So let me just copy this again. So I'm just going to copy this, then right click, replace values, and paste it here. Okay, so So let's just get rid of this number so that it's only this one that will be replaced. Then we click on OK, and that is settled. Okay. So let's change the data type to whole number, and this is perfect. So this is rating, this is also rating. So let us do the same for this. Right click, replace values, paste it here, get rid of these, and click on OK. Right? Because why not? Alright, so let's now change data type to whole number. Ooh, why? Why is it giving error? Let's check what we have in the column. Okay, when we add this, we add a space, but for this one there is no space. Let me show you. That's why. So this one has space in between. This let's take it back just to show you. So this one has space in between and this one does not have space. So we can do both together actually, and just right click and do replace values. Then because of the space, we're just going to leave it as, we're just going to get rid of this without the space. Then we can deal with that other space later. So if I click on OK, it should replace both for me. Yeah, perfect. Then I can go ahead to change data type to whole number, right? Whole number. Perfect. Perfecto. Okay, so let's go on. Same with this. We should have just selected this as well with it, but then let's just go ahead to do it. So I'm just going to replace this. So this one has space, so I'm good. Perfecto. Don't break my heart. Okay, so let's now put this whole number. Perfecto, perfecto. Okay, so the last but not the least that we have is this heat column. Remember that at the beginning of data cleaning, we did data quality assessment, and this is why I am going directly to the columns that have issues, because I have identified them and I've already kind of thought about how I will go about some of these data quality issues. So this is saving some time if you do data quality assessment before you begin to clean your data. Also, it's important, especially when you are working in an organization and you have questions to ask, right? You can always ask after you've done your data quality assessment, then you see some potential problems that you probably do not have answer to. So what do we have here? Let's see. Let's load more. So let's see, we have null values, right? Then we have some with k. We are going to get rid of this k. Remember how we got rid of m and k, making sure they are in the same format. We are going to be doing the same with this so that it doesn't have k. So if I have 1.6k, what I need to see is 1600, right? So what do? Replace k with nothing, right? Then we, okay, first of all, we separate them. Separate the one that has k from the one that does not have k. Then for the one that have k, we replace k with nothing and we multiply by 1000. Okay, so let's go right to it. So I'm just going to use the conditional column, add column, conditional column, and say if you have k, then return the column. If you don't, then give me no. Okay, what's the column name again? Heat, right? The last column. So I'll go to it. Then if it contains, okay, heat is not giving me contains because probably is not seen as a text. So let me change the data type to text, and then I try it again. So I'll change this to text, right? Okay, so let me, can you see that we still have them? So now let me use the conditional column. So conditional column, then I'm saying if it's, let's it now, it contains k, then let me use capital letter, because if, I mean, conditional column is case sensitive, right? So I'm going to change this to column, give me the column it, right? nothing, so I'm just going to click on OK, and that will separate them for me. Thankfully, they are going to be directly beside each other. So these ones that have K, let's deal with them. All right, so if the null is way more than the ones that have K, then we might not be able to replace. So let me just save some time, go ahead to replace null with none, just as we did, and then we can now take care of it. Okay, so let's change this to null, then replace with none. Okay, now I can now get rid of K. So I'll go to replace values, then I'll go to find K, replace with nothing, click on OK. All right, amazing. Can you see? Okay, so next up we want to change null back to none, back to null. So let's do that. None back to null, nothing. Okay, so that we can now multiply 1.6 and the others by 1000. So let me change this data type to whole number. No, not whole number, decimal number, because they have decimals. So they have been changed. Okay, now let's multiply this by 1000, right? So we just go to standard, then we'll multiply by 1000. Good. Okay, what do we have here? Let's see. Perfecto. So let me see what is in the column. Yeah, this is what we want, right? So now let's merge them together so they are in the same column. So I'm just going to take this and take this and merge columns. All right, and then I don't need to separate up, right? So I'm just going to rename this to its. Oops, no way, that's not what I want to do. No, where is it now? Okay, so we still need to extract the ones that does not have K here before we combine. So I'm just going to use the conditional column again, and I would say if it has K, give me null, otherwise give me the column, right? So that we can have those ones that don't have K. So if this column contains, is it the custom column now? Is the its column. So if the its column contains K, then give me null, right? Let me just leave it like that. Otherwise, give me the column its. Now click on OK. There we go. So now we can combine it. So this will go here and this will go here. All right. So let's merge this together. This and this. So I'll right click and I'll merge columns and I'll name these its. I should have deleted that one. But let me just use 2s now. Can you see that it has been combined? Can you see that 1.6 has changed to 1600? So I can get rid of this, remove, then change this back to its, right? Now the data type is still in text. Let's make sure it is in whole number. Okay, perfecto, voila, we are done with data cleaning. We're done with cleaning this data. Now this data is perfectly ready for analysis. Thank you for watching. Please do not forget to click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's going to be more and more data cleaning videos that will be posted here on this channel. So make sure to subscribe to my channel. Make sure to like this video and share this video with your friends as well. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.